Why are people on drugs? There's two reasons people are on drugs.
So come on and jiggity jack yourself before you wreck yourself.
So today I would like to have a conversation with y'all about this crazy opioid crisis in this country. And I don't know if y'all know, but America, the United States, consumes 80% of opioids produced globally. 80%. That's insanity. So then we have to ask, why are people on drugs? There's two reasons people are on drugs. They're either in physical pain or they're in mental pain. That's it. They want to numb the pain, so they think the only way out is taking drugs. I'm here to tell you that's not the only way out. I want to share with you a few different cases that I have worked with throughout my near 30 years being in practice. Some have some crazy histories and some have some regular mundane histories like a lot of people out there. And I want to show you how they overcame their drug, I wouldn't say addiction, but their drug usage. Because drugs have bad consequences when you take them, especially for a long period. So my first case, it is a lovely, sweet lady named Kathy. She just turned 80. Kathy is of the mindset, I'm gonna exercise, I'm gonna eat healthy, I'm going to do everything that I need to do to keep aging healthy. Unfortunately, she had an unfortunate fall and she crushed 7 ribs in the posterior part of her right side of her body and 3, including her clavicle, on the right side of her body. Extreme pain. Long story short, she didn't take any opioids. She waited until the bones healed and we started to gently adjust the little areas of her spine with instruments to get her into proper motion again. And we started to rehabilitate the scar tissue and to make it flexible again. So we got to the point she was walking better, moving better, and far reduced pain. Then she started having some plantar fasciitis. So unbeknownst to me, she started to take a ton of Advil, ibuprofen. So people think it's over the counter, it's safe. Well, before she started to chomp on all this Advil, probably she shared with me about 8 to 12 a day because she had foot pain. She never had any kind of heart disease, no cholesterol issues, no blood pressure issues. She shared with me she all of a sudden is having elevated cholesterol and she doesn't know why. Her MD doesn't know why. So she got talked into taking some statins. That's cholesterol medications. I know a lot of you out there, middle-aged, are on statins. Here's the bad thing. When she started taking statins, she shared with me that she was getting depressed, she was losing her memory, and she had a lot more pain all of a sudden now, all over her muscles, all over her joints of her body that she didn't have before, in addition to her plantar fasciitis. So I said, what's changed from when you had plantar fasciitis to now? What's changed? Well, I've only been taking Advil. Okay, how many? That's when she said, oh, about 8 to 12 a day. I don't know if y'all are aware, if you guys are aware of this, but ibuprofen poisons the liver, it taxes the liver. The liver is where cholesterol is manufactured, good and bad, the LDL and the HDL. So if you take in a lot of ibuprofen, guess what's going to happen? Your liver is going to get inflamed. It's going to produce more LDL, the bad kind of cholesterol. That's what happened to Kathy. So I recommended to her, how about, instead of taking the ibuprofen for pain management, we decrease the level of processed foods in your diet and we do gentle stretches. And then I want you to add these 2 things to your repertoire. Turmeric. Turmeric is Turmeric. It's an Indian spice, but they sell it in any health food store in capsules or liquid. So take some turmeric and take some fish oil. So I titrated it to her body weight. Long story short, her pain factor went way down instead of having to keep taking Advil, which wasn't really helping. And she got her blood work done again and her cholesterol went way down. The moral of the story is you don't need drugs to take care of pain. Second history, 55-year-old female, failed neck surgery. So she came to me with a metal plate for a fusion of her neck between C3, 4, and 5. So only 1 and 2 are moving, and 6 and 7 are moving. So she had a plate in her neck plus screws in her neck. She was in constant debilitating pain post-surgery. It's failed surgery. So when I took her history, come to find out, she was on a fentanyl patch. Fentanyl is a very, very high potency opioid drug. I mean, a small microgram could kill you if you overdo it. She was on a fentanyl patch and 4 other opioids. And she said, I'm scared to death because I've been to chiropractors and they've cracked me and I felt worse afterwards. So I said, okay, I can't speak for other doctors and how they do things, but I can tell you how I do things. I'm very specific. I'm gonna do a thorough exam and we're gonna take a look at why you're in so much pain. So I looked at her x-ray results. I did a palpatory exam. I looked at her range of motion. I did what I needed to do to get my information. So fast forward, this young lady, I'm gonna call her Louise. That's not a real name, so I'm trying to protect everybody's privacy. So Louise, after 4 weeks of care, was off of the fentanyl patch and 2 of her opioids. After 8 weeks of care, she was pain-free and off of all her opioids. That's pretty darn amazing, I think. And she did it naturally. That was a beautiful thing. So we modified her diet, again, got her off of processed foods, decreased the amount of alcohol, got her moving, drinking water, and taking fish oil, and some turmeric. Those are my go-to things recommending people to get off of pain meds gently and safely. You need to have the anti-inflammatory function of the fish oil. So fish oil has 2 components, omega-3. It has the EPA component and the DHA component. The EPA component is for inflammatory control reduction, right? Inflammation reduction. The DHA is for your nervous system. It helps the nerves get better and stronger at transmitting signals. So it strengthens your nervous system. So taking a good, clean, purity certified fish oil with no heavy metals, along with some turmeric, will help you reduce your pain, but you also need to flush everything out with some water. So you're gonna see a common theme through each case as to how they got better. Next case. I'm gonna call her Charmaine. Charmaine is a 51-year-old female. She came in with debilitating pain in her lower back, gripping pain in her buttocks, and a numbing and shooting pain at the same time down one leg. She said she was diagnosed with stenosis. The medical doctor just kept giving her gabapentin, which is a pain medication. It has horrible side effects, and she was taking some medications for her heart because she had high inflammation in her body. Drugs weren't really helping, but she was taking it anyways because she didn't know what else to do. I'm happy to report, after about 4 months of care, Charmaine, I gotta get my name straight. I'm using pseudonames. So Charmaine is off of all her meds and she is much better with her pain factor. So what did we do with Charmaine? I did a very specific adjustment protocol on Charmaine based on her distortion patterns. So I had a full global pattern to understand what was out of balance on her spine. And I did very specific curve correction exercises for her. Where she was deficient, we got it to have more curve, and where she was excess, we reduced the curve. That's how we got her to get off her pain meds and to move easier and to be pain-free. All right, next case, Roger, 53-year-old male, big burly dude, played college football. When he came to me with shooting pain down his left leg and numbing in his left foot, he told me he had just been to his orthopedic surgeon and there was a disc fragment that was pushing on that nerve root in the lower back. The orthopedic surgeon said you need to go into emergency discectomy surgery, otherwise you're going to be paralyzed. So he was a little scared, to say the least, and he said, can we do something conservative? At that time, he was seeing another doctor of chiropractic. He wasn't seeing much change, so that's why he sought care here at my office. Long story short, He's now gone through my corrective care process. At that time, besides the leg and back pain issues, where he has shooting, debilitating pain, he couldn't sit for his history, he also could not do a push-up because his wrists were frozen. He has a very physical, demanding job. He needed his hands, but he couldn't do certain things for his job because of his wrists being in dire pain. And it was beyond carpal tunnel. There was so much more going on where he had just some fixated, calcified joints in his wrist. Do you know that there's 8 little marble bones in your wrists called carpals? And that's where carpal tunnel comes from. That's another episode about that issue, because that I can go on for days about that and how we fix that. But Roger couldn't do push-ups, was afraid to go 4-wheel driving, which he loves because he's a burly, manly man, and he couldn't work out. He had all sorts of problems going on. Fast forward, this is over a year later now, because we corrected him in about 10 months. He's on maintenance now, doing awesome. He just finished an off-roading trip with his buddies, and he said he had 0 issues, and he did amazing. He's doing full push-ups now. He's doing a full body workout now, and doing fantastic. So how did we fix him? Again, specific adjustments based on his exam results, specifically the x-rays and the nerve scan that I do here and palpation. And we modified his lifestyle. One day he came in, he was doing great in the early part of his care of correction. He was doing great. All of a sudden he said he had debilitating pain again. He didn't do anything wrong, but he couldn't understand it. So I said, let's pause. Tell me what you had for dinner. Why? I said, tell me what you had for dinner. Mexican food. I said, oh, what was in it? Let's see now. Refried beans, lots of cheese, lots of fried tortillas, Spanish rice or Mexican rice, whichever one you want to call it, and a lot of grease. That made his body go, oh, tighten up and inflammation. So what you eat has everything to do with how you feel. If you're in pain, please don't eat processed foods, fried foods, dairy, and a lot of refined carbs, because that will cause more pain in your body. So nutrition can hurt you or help you based on what you eat and drink. Also, Roger took the fish oil and the turmeric based on his body weight, and that helped shrink down the inflamed cells so he can actually function properly without debilitating pain. Okay, lastly, I want to talk about a pediatric case. I love taking care of little people. I had a young gal, her name was Caroline, came to me when she was 12. Her mother called and made an appointment for her. She was referred to me by another chiropractor in the old neighborhood she lived in. She moved down this way. They lived in Orange County before. That's in California if you're watching this and you're not in California. And she was diagnosed with spectrum disorder. So those of you who don't know who spectrum disorder is, it's a spectrum of autism. She had one of the worst diagnoses. She had Asperger's syndrome. Operative word is had. When Caroline started with me, she was rocking in the corner, couldn't make eye contact. Her skin pallor was a little greenish yellowish, and she was just not here with us. So I took the history, asking the mother, her lifestyle, her health problems, all sorts of things that would help me to understand why she is the way she is. Now, granted, some people may have been born with these challenges. Other people may have been normal, and all of a sudden, boom, you get this diagnosis. Again, that's a whole nother episode of a subject that I'm not going to get into today. So part of what I found out is Caroline was regularly eating top ramen, cup of noodles, Cheetos, and root beer. That's a recipe for disaster for any person, whether it's a child or an adult. She was feeding herself a lot of toxic, poisonous chemicals affecting her nervous system. So I said to her mother, I feel that there is a lot of good that can happen if I work with your child. However, I cannot take your case unless I get your agreement that you're going to help me modify her nutrition and her activity. I don't want her on an iPad all day. I want her physically moving. She agreed. I said, I want you to take away all cup of noodles, all top ramen, any fried chips, and any sodas. The only thing I want her to drink is water. Water, water, water. Half her body weight in ounces of water every day. I want her to get at least 2 sessions of 30 minutes out in the sunlight every day. And I want her to eat clean protein, grilled, baked or broiled, fibrous vegetables, and lots of fruit that is not too sugary. The berry family is fantastic for that. I want you to know that this child, when we started, was on 4 psych meds. Seroquel, Wellbutrin, Xanax, and Adderall. It's insane to me. Part of the reason why she was rocking in the corner and not being able to make eye contact with me. So I asked her mother to talk to her doctors and to help me, to help Caroline safely wean off these meds as we see her getting better. It took us about a good 9 months, but Caroline was drug-free. Caroline could hold a conversation and make eye contact. Caroline wrote me this beautiful success story about how she hated to go to school before chiropractic care. She hated her life. And now she says she's happy going to school. She made new friends. She drew me a happy bunny with 2 buck teeth. I'm telling you right now, that was one of the most rewarding moments of my career. To help this child have a new trajectory of life, not needing psych meds, and being able to be communicative with her family and her schoolmates. I'm giving you these different types of cases that I've worked with in my career, and that's only like, what, 5 people. I've helped a pretty good amount of people, over thousands, but I'm not bragging either. I just want you to be aware that there's alternatives to drugs to get you to feel good. I hope this made sense to you. Drink a lot of water, go exercise and get some sunshine, and eat clean foods that are not processed. Every episode has some of this going on because I want to get through to you so that you understand you can do something about it. If you're in pain and you find yourself chomping on pain meds, whether it's a prescription or over the counter, I want you to stop that safely and start living a healthier lifestyle to help yourself become a happy individual without drugs. See you next time.